The state of the world. If your view of the world comes from watching the news and reading newspaper, you could be forgiven for lying awake at night worrying about the futures. Apparently, rising violence and population rates means humans are both killing each other in every larger number and being born at rates the world's research cannot sustain. To make matters worse, all the wealth is concentrated on a handful of people in the world's rich country. People in low-income countries live in poverty while the West gets richer. Depressing, isn't it? Let's take global population first. It's around 7 billion, now in line with figures predicted by the UN in 1958 by the year 2100. The same expert predict it will be around 11 billion. But did you know that 11 billion is probably as high as that number will get? The rate of increase will slow down in the second half of this century, thanks to falling birth rates today. In the last 2 centuries, improvement in technology and health mean fewer children died young. Following rapid population growth, these large families produce even more children who survive into adulthood and had their own children. But with the wider availability of contraception in the 1960s, the global average number of babies per woman has declined from 6 babies per woman to as low as 2. The big factors in child mortality is poverty, and while it's still true that only 20% of the world takes about 74% of the world's income, 60% of the world now falls into a middle income group. With 11.6%, the smallest amount of people in history still living in conditions of extreme poverty. If the majority of the world people have money, international aid could realistically achieve the UN target of eradicating poverty by 2030. As poverty goes down, life expectancy goes up. Birth rates go down because parents can expect their existing children to survive, and the global population stabilizes. As for news stories that make us think the world is an increasingly violent place, there is cause for some optimism too. Between the end of World War II and 20 As for news stories that make us think the world is an increasingly violent place, there is cause for some optimism too. Between the end of World War II and 1990, there were 30 wars that killed more than 100,000 people. Today, there are still civil wars. But countries are mostly coexisting more peacefully than in the past. However, terrorism has shot up in the last few years and since World War II. Wars have killed many more civilians than soldiers. Even for civilians, though the statistics are not all bad. Although deaths are 9 times more likely to be a result of violence crime than political conflict. The global murder rate fell slightly, from 8 per 100,000 people in 2000 to about 5.3 in 2015.